Oh, were you in there too? Okay, well, we'll give 1 year's one. Sonny's in here.
She's on her no bed.
She's on her bed, yep. Alrighty. Sorry, didn't mean to keep you. Okay, I'm here. I just had to go get a cup of freaking coffee over here. Hello, Mike. Hello, Lisa. Good morning from Nevada. Darla and Darren. How you doing? Bev, our friend Bev next door, she has a bunch of these knives that she's had for years and years and years. And this, I'll show you the rest of them. I've already sharpened 3, and this is Detroit Redneck and Zeph. Hello there from Detroit. Yeah. So yeah, none of these have ever been touched. They've got the factory edge on them, which is not really good. These are nice knives. It's good steel, but terrible edge. So it's going to take me a little while to number one, get rid of the factory edge and put a good edge on it, and then number 2, get it sharp. So I just thought I'd do a little chat while we're here. Hey, Tom. Happy Saturday. Shabbat Shalom. Yep, still not quite. There we go. Oh, yeah, this terrible edge. That's going to take some work right there. Hola from Houston. Hello, Jesus. ¿Cómo está? Bienvenidos. Hey, Brent. It's a little bit warm in here. You know that? You're going to enjoy this? Okay, you need instruction? Well, okay, let me start from the beginning. This is a coarse stone. This is a Norton oil stone. It's the best stone I've ever had, and it really, really works. This is stainless, and this stone will work stainless down to a good edge in real short order, better than any stone I've ever had. And then on the other side, this is a coarse, and this is a medium. And then I have this hard Arkansas stone here, really big stone. This was Jim's, my friend Jim, Bev's husband, who passed away. That's the stone I finish them on. So let me take a sip of coffee. Yeah, it's raining down there. Yeah, we've had a rainy day here up in I'm in Wascom, Texas, up close to Shreveport. I'm east of Longview. East of Longview. Hey, Brian up in Boston. How are you, man? Phil, good to see you. All right, I'm going to turn it over. Do a few on this side. And, if you're not familiar with sharpening, there are different angles for different knives. I'm going to turn this over to face you a little bit. So for a kitchen knife, I like to go with about a 11 or 12, 13 degree angle, about like that. For a bushcraft hunting type of knife, I would go with a bit of a steeper angle because it's more durable. Although it's not quite as sharp as a shallower angle would be. Graphic Wonders, man, I haven't seen you in a long time. Huh, good to see you. Hey, Rom. Canada. Yeah, that's right, you're in Canada. Aren't you just over the line near Detroit? Hello, G. Dolphin? Dolphin, I think that's how you pronounce it. Rebar came to the, yeah. I don't want to say too much about, some of the crazy stuff that I've had to work here, because the guy who used to own that place was, a good guy and a friend of the family. So I don't want to offend any of the family members. And his grandson is my good friend, Pat. So I'm kind of careful about what I say. But I got to tell you, some of the stuff I come across around here, you just got to wonder what he was thinking. You have a piece of copper tubing connected to a piece of rubber hose, connected to a piece of PEX, and then PVC run into that, and then hose clamps. I mean, some of the stuff I've had to fix has really been comical. And the man was an electrical engineer with an electrical engineer. See, I can't even say it. He was an electrical engineer with a degree, and I don't, based on some of the stuff I have had to fix, looking at some of his repairs, it's just kind of funny, But he spent most of his life selling tools. I just had let me see who sent me a message. Oh, Pat called, my friend Pat. Pat, I just missed your call. You may be watching my live stream, which is why I didn't answer. New Brunswick on the East Coast. Oh, okay. What the oil that I use is just this. Is that backwards? Why is that backwards? It looks backwards on my screen. It's Remington oil, just a real thin oil. Yeah, this was as blunt as a butter knife. And then this water leak. Oh yeah, that's starting to rub off the old factory finish now. This water leak had a big piece of PVC pipe put around the little 3/4 inch pipe, and then he filled that up with concrete, and then around the big PVC pipe he poured concrete around that. And I had to bust all that concrete out of there just to work on the pipe. And finally I've already fixed it a couple of times because it's right in an area off the driveway where you would naturally turn. Yeah, 1677. That's still me. Yep. So people have hit it. I've hit it. Bev ran into it with a lawnmower, and the guy who used to mow the yard for her, he hit it with a lawnmower. So it's definitely in the way. So I decided this once and for all just to cut it down underground and move it to an area where nobody like me will trip over it or drive over it with a lawnmower. Pat, if you're watching, you can text me. I can read a text. Or you can come over and drink some coffee. Well, no, you can't come over because you've been everywhere. You might have cooties. All right, I'm starting to feel a burr. That's good. Working up a burr. That's some of y'all probably know how to sharpen a knife, but maybe somebody don't. So I'll tell you what I know about knife sharpening, and I've sharpened a lot of knives. I mean, especially now, but in my past, because I've always enjoyed sharpening knives. I don't know why. It's really fun taking a butter knife a butter knife sharpness knife to something that will cut your hair off your arm. What you're trying to do is, number one, you're trying to remove the factory bevel because they're never good, and they've always got these, basically they got sanding marks still on the edge on the bevel, which does not make for a sharp knife. So to get past that, it takes a whole lot of rubbing on something like this. And what you're trying to do is remove all those scratch marks, reestablish a better bevel at the angle that's optimal for a kitchen knife, which is about 12 degrees, 11, 12, 13, right in there. And then you do something called form a burr. And if you were to look at your knife this way, if you sharpen it this way, what you're doing is forcing a burr over this edge of the knife, a little round burr, and you can take your finger and you can feel it when you've got a burr. So then you would flip it over and you rub it this way, and now it's called chasing the burr. Now you're bending that burr back up on this side, and you can feel it. If you move your finger across it, you can feel it. And you keep doing that until the burr feels less and less and less, smaller and smaller and smaller. And then you go to a finer grit, and then finally you go to the high polish. So, and that's what I'm doing now. I have got to the point now where I've made the factory edge all smooth. I've established my angle, and it's still going to take a lot of rubbing. Yep, this last week, man, I did all kinds of crazy stuff. Burned my head, caught my belt grinder on fire, tripped over a water line and broke it. Now, for the grand finale, I'm probably going to cut my finger off. Okay, I'm starting to feel a burr now on this side. So now I'm officially doing what they call chasing the burr. Oh, that's not good for the knife. Let me drink a sip of coffee. The place was made by Rube Goldberg. Yeah, really. Yeah, even something like, I'll give you an example. The screen door was on the inside of the house instead of the outside, and I took it off. And there was about, probably 20 screws holding the screen door frame on. And it had Phillips and Torx and hex heads and straight blade screws. So I had to have 4 different screwdrivers to get all the screws out of it. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that makes you scratch your head. Oh, good coffee. Yeah, really, no snow here. You're screwing around, yeah. Hello, Jim. Hello, E. Spears. Yeah, I really like hand sharpening. I do. Yeah, this is not mine. This is Bev's. Bev is our friend, me and Bev, but Bev's husband Jim was my friend for, I don't know. I knew Jim before I met my wife, and we've been married 30 years. So your screwdriver has interchangeable bits. Yeah, I have one of them. All right, I'm going to turn it over to the medium side. Hello, Don, country boy. Don't break the knife. Yeah, really. It's been that kind of week. I don't have any ceramic. I've got this hard Arkansas stone here that will do the job. Now, it's at this point, I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear the difference in the tone that it's making as I sharpen it. And when I get the burr rubbed off and folded up this way or the other way, I can hear it. Lunch break is over. Okay. Making planter boxes. Okay. Good seeing you. Boy, I keep doing that. Oh yeah, I'm really starting to feel the burr now. I don't know if you can hear it, but listen close as I do this. And if you hear a slight tone change, it's that zick, 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 zick. And as it's doing it, it'll slightly change tone. And this will actually start rubbing across here smoother. That's because it's finally flipping the burr over this way. All right, right there. Starting to make a different sound. All right. Did you hear it change? To me, the sound is part of how I know I'm making progress. I can still feel a burr, just a little bit. The burr is getting smaller and smaller though. Oh, my angle's getting off a little bit. Got to be real careful to maintain the same angle. All right, that burr is small enough now where I could move to the next stone, but it is not an oil stone. Okay, Don, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I'm kind of sick of rain too, Jim. I like that. Let me get a piece of paper. That's good enough. All right, there's 4 down. And when I started, that was butter knife sharp. Same thing here. Just you couldn't even cut paper with this. So I'll have to start from scratch on that. But first, we drink. So is anybody actually there? Hey, it's me. 23 people watching. Okay. 28 minutes I've been sharpening. Schmutz. I got schmutz on my face. Huh. Okay, still there. Well, must be something on my camera because there's just this hideous picture right here on my computer. I don't know where that's coming from. Hey there, I'm your Huckleberry. This is a neighbor. There's over there, I can't remember, either Shreveport or Bossier. Drinking McDonald's coffee, huh? Waving? Okay, still here. Good. Okay. Ah, boy. Hey there, Tennessee Bubba. I was just actually did a Shreveport. You're in Shreveport? Joe, I just did a little video. I've got a lot of things to do around here, so I've kind of stopped working on knives for just a little while, a couple days. And as soon as I catch up, I tell you, I'm not a conspiracy. Holy crap, that's some. Holy crap, that's good coffee. Yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this coronavirus thing, I really believe it's going to spark some other things. Here's my thinking. There's scarcity of products in the stores. I mean, major, major scarcity, and it's going to be even worse because now they're not able to hire the people that they need to get the food out of the fields. Some of the packing houses are working at half manpower. So all the companies that really need to up their production uh, can't because they don't have the manpower. And on top of that, you have people that are broke. I mean, there's a lot of people. I think it's 70% of the population. Basically, I'm sorry, I don't mean to rub my eyes, but allergies. Why my eyes and my nose are always running. But I promise I won't wipe my nose on my sleeve. 70% of the population only has enough for a couple of weeks of living, which is, when I was raising kids, I lived check to check. So you have people with no money coupled with not enough product, whether it be toilet paper or beef. And I think there's going to be hyperinflation. Inflation, okay, you couple that with a $2.5 trillion they just added to our federal deficit, but it was actually more than that. It was 6 trillion because they, for some reason, now that's another thing. I don't know what's going on with our military, but President Trump activated 1 million reservists. He sent a destroyer, I believe, down to Venezuela. I mean, this just does not make sense. My brain's not adding this up. Something's going on, and it's way more than this coronavirus. The repercussions of this coronavirus are going to be long lasting. So, my point was, I've got a few things I want to do around here, mainly security related. One of them is a light that I've had forever, really bright light that I want to put up at my gate, and I got to run electricity to it and all that. I have a security camera that I want to put up. A few things around here to kind of harden the outside of the perimeter of my property. And let's see. I don't know if you can see up there. Let me see if I can turn the camera. Those are, you know what they are. They're all magazines, AR-15. Up here are 30-round Beretta. There's my Glock. Those are all Ruger 25 rounders. Just I took them all apart. It took me about 4 hours, but I took all of my magazines, every single magazine apart, and cleaned them, oiled them. I cleaned my guns. I mean, nefarious. Yeah, that's what I think. I have a million guesses, but with all the things that are going on politically, like right now, of all times for Pelosi and Schiff to go back to, hey Richie Kubishak, to go back to their impeachment crap. Now they're going to launch an investigation on how Trump has been handling the coronavirus. It just doesn't end. This is not a political channel. I don't talk politics much, but I'm just a regular guy like you, or woman. And I see news, I can add, and none of this adds up. There's something going on that's far, far more than this coronavirus, and I do believe we're going to experience some serious repercussions. So all I can do is, keep a little extra food. I mean, I'm only as good as I had my thyroid removed, so I'll only live as long as I have my thyroid replacement medicine, Synthroid, and these little beauties here. I'm supposed to do it 4 times a day, but I don't. But when that runs out and my Synthroid runs out, I'm pretty much dead anyway. So I can only plan and prepare for so long, so far out. And, they do hate Trump. Yeah, he could heal, and they would still. Well, why didn't he heal them quicker? Let's have an investigation and why he didn't find a cure for cancer earlier. Was he sitting on this cure? Did he know about this cure all along? Anyway, let's go back to sharpening. I don't want to get all political. This is not a political channel, although I have some of my own political views. All right, dull as a butter knife. Boy, that's going to take some rubbing. Yeah, there's a lot of these stones out there. This is a perfect example. This is a cheap Harbor Freight stone, good for pretty much just your junkiest knives. They wear out real quick. I mean, they get wallered out. You can see dips in them and stuff. And it just pays to buy a good stone. And this is a Norton oil stone here. And they last, they last forever. The good stones do. Well, this is a Tramontina blade, by the way. I did not know Tramontina made knives. I have some of their skillets, and they are really good skillets. I've had one skillet I've had for about 2.5 years now, and I use it every single morning for my eggs, and nothing's peeling off. It's I take good care of it. I don't put it in the dishwasher. I wash it in the sink, and I got to tell you something funny. Let's just say I'm not exactly a housework kind of guy. And yesterday, I emptied the dishwasher. And then my wife seen me walking by with a trash can. I emptied the trash can. And she said, "You're going to need to take a day off tomorrow. You emptied the dishwasher and took the trash out." Smart Alec. Yeah, I'll tell you. It's fun being married to a woman with a sense of humor. Or who knows, maybe she wasn't trying to be funny, huh? Oh, yeah, coming along. Well, that's true. They're eating at home. Absolutely. Yeah, I've taken that into consideration too. Yeah. Yep. Boy, what a difference already. Hey there, Gail. Gail, no, it takes a different kind of sharpener for serrated knives. It takes a round sharpener. It's doable, but you have to use a sharpener with a rounded edge. And honestly, I have never sharpened a serrated knife. So I don't even know if it's doable because I've never done it myself. I just know that they have things for serrated knives to sharpen them with. Both graphic wonders, the sound and the feel. The feel mostly, but the sound is a real clue too, especially when you get down to the finer side, when you finally establish a good bevel and you're working your burr back and forth on either side of the blade. That's when the sound really comes into play, when you're following the burr. Right now, I can feel that I'm starting a good burr, And I'll finally rub the original factory edge off of it. So it's mostly feel right now. But as I get closer and closer to the finished edge, you can hear it too when it changes tone as you're dragging it across. I don't know if you could hear that tone change, but it just changed tone. So I'm getting closer and closer to having a good workable burr. All right, I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to tell you when the tone changes and see if you can pick it up. I'll tell you the second I hear it. All right, just the last one, it changed. Right there. It's actually a little easier to hear the difference on stainless than it is on high carbon, because high carbon is a softer metal. So the noise is a little more easier to pick up. The sound change is easier to pick up on stainless. Yeah, got a good burr there. I'm going to flip it over now. Oh, I'm out of coffee. Yeah, I believe we're going to see desperate people who have no income doing desperate things. And if you have, I think you're going to have to be careful about the people who have not, whether that be food or toilet paper or medicine. I mean, I think we're going to be in short supply of a lot of stuff very soon. I hope none of this is true. I hope the world goes back to normal. And, America was running along pretty good. The stock market was up. Anybody who wanted a job had a job. And that's the world I want to live in. My life is pretty simple and basic and happy. And I just want to continue living life the way I live it now. Quiet, peaceful, gray man, quietly socked away here behind my gate and making knives and piddling in my garage, petting my dogs. I think we're getting close now to using the last stone. Still feel a minor burr. Yep. And now, it's not a law yet, but now they're suggesting people go places with masks on, which I happen to have. My sister up in Chicago couldn't find any, so I mailed her some. Well, she doesn't live in Chicago. She lives in Mokina. Then I got a brother in Phoenix, a brother in Biloxi, Mississippi, a sister in Connecticut. Yep, time for the next stone. Yeah, there's 7 of us. Is that too much light? Huh. I'm number 4. I'm the middle of 3 boys. Okay, Graphic Wonders, good to see you. Oh, yeah. Good enough. You're a middle child too. Don't come. Hey, Daniel, man, I haven't seen you in a while. Daniel is in 420 heaven. Boy, that come out nice. I'll tell you what, that's got a good edge on it. All right, 2 more to go. Both have never been sharpened. And these are really, really old too. This is German steel. And this is what do they call that? A boning knife? Hey, Bill, up in Indiana. That's a good one, Dan. Have you been all right, Dan? I haven't seen you around much. And I looked for your phone number in my phone book, and I could not find it. I was going to give you a call because I hadn't seen you around in a while. All right, there is just about no edge on that side. I mean, you couldn't get any more dull than that. Huh. Hunker down on a ranch with all your preps, huh? It's a good place to be. All right. This is some good steel. I guess that's why she's wanted to hang on to them for so long, because they're good steel. Mundio. I've never heard of them. These are, it says NSF, made in Brazil. And it says bakers and chefs. I think Bev got these at Sam's, her and Jim, when Jim was alive. So that they've had these a while. Hey there, Major Payne. I got your email earlier. And I appreciate that. I here's here here's the thing about having a website for my knives. I don't want my knives to become a job, so I'd rather make them and have a harder time selling them than to have a website and people ordering them, and then I'm locked down to, my knife shop. I like to do a lot of things. Knife making is just one of them. And I want to be able to stop making knives and go do something else when I feel like it, instead of feeling like I'm committed to filling orders. And I want to do it the rest of my life and enjoy it. And I feel like if I started getting ahead of myself with orders, that I wouldn't enjoy it. And I've experienced that. And at the time, I had 9 orders. Yeah, I get it. Only a suggestion. I appreciate it very much. And man, that's when I started getting sick, the worst of the sickness. And I just couldn't make myself go out there. I mean, I couldn't get out of the house. And finally, I had my thyroid removed, and then I got over whatever the hell it was, and they put me on breathing treatments, and I did start feeling better. But the feeling of having people's money and not being able to go out there and make knives was just not a good feeling. And it took the pleasure out of making knives. And I felt pressure that I just didn't want to feel with a hobby. So I apologized to everyone, and I gave them their money back. And it was actually months and months before I was well enough to go back out there and make knives again. So I'm glad I did return the money. It's a little harder. This is a skinny blade, so it's a little harder to sharpen it. Boy, that got sharp fast. Man, I'm flipping it over. That went a little quicker than I thought. A crazy trucking story. I got so many, and some of them you can't tell. I'll tell you about this one. And this was on I-20. And it was in Texas, and it was not far from Abilene, Texas. This whole thing started east of Abilene and went on all the way to Abilene. It was solid ice. You should not have even been on the road. And I had this guy pass me. It was a SUV pulling a U-Haul trailer. Now, it's solid ice, and anybody with any sense is getting off the road. And the only reason I was on the road is because there was nowhere to park. So I continued to a truck stop. And I'm talking about, we're moving at 5, 6, 7 miles an hour because you would slide off the road. Hey, anti-libtard, good to see you, man. So this guy pulling a U-Haul passes us, and there's a long line of trucks all doing the same thing, looking for a safe place to get off the road till the ice melts. Because this is Texas. Texas does not have, salt trucks and sand and all that. So he passes me, and as soon as he gets past me, he wipes out, spins out, trailer and car get jackknifed, and he dents everything. And I didn't stop. You can't stop. I got people behind me. If I stop, they're going to hit me. And besides, we're only going 5, 6, 7 miles an hour. Nobody is passing except this one moron. So we keep going, and about 10 minutes later, here's this guy again, same guy, passing everybody. And he does the exact same thing. Gets up past all this long line of slow creeping along trucks, looking for a safe place to get off the road, and he wipes out again, twice. It's same guy, does the same thing, goes too fast, and his trailer starts doing this in the ice, and boom, off the road he goes. Another 10 minutes go by. Here the son of a gun comes again. And this time he spun out in front of me, and I I had to ease over. I mean, I couldn't stop, and I eased over off the road. I dropped one set of tires off the pavement uh, because it was less frozen than the highway, and I just barely, I mean, millimeters. I don't know what a millimeter is, so I would say, an eighth of an inch missed the guy. And the very last thing that happened was my trailer tire caught his trailer. And I had to stop. I had no choice. It was contact between him and me. And the guy, he seemed normal in every way. And me, I was just scratching my head, wondering what on earth is going through this man's mind. Why does he think that he can continue going faster than everybody else and something different is going to happen? And he wiped out 3 freaking times. It's not over. So there's no damage to him. There's no damage to me. I get back in my truck. I ease back out on the road. And the guy passes me a 4th time. And this time he gets way down the road and we don't see him. Of course, he's all the talk on the CB radio. So we go a couple more miles, and there this guy is in the middle of the road, wiped out, upside down, trailer one way, car the other. And I just blew my mind. 4 times this guy wiped out. 4 times and would not slow down. Just blew my mind. And we finally made it to a truck stop, got off the road, got in the truck stop. And about 3 hours later, here comes that guy. He had fueled up. Somebody had got him up on his feet, tipped him over. He got back on the road, made it to the truck stop, got gas, and got back on the road. Unbelievable. To me, of all the stupid drivers I've seen in my whole life, that was the dumbest. And you think about all the other people and equipment he damaged, and it's not just people and lives. My truck was $144,000. I mean, that's my life. If I lose my truck, I'm out of work. That guy wasn't just putting people's lives at risk or of injury. He was putting people's livelihoods in danger. And yeah, that guy comes to mind every once in a while when I think about truly stupid people with driver's licenses. Well, I don't know if I should tell this story. probably 5 or 6 years ago, I won't name the truck stop, but it was in Atlanta. And it was night. I had just backed into a spot to go to bed, and there was some activity, back then. Well, truck stops were dangerous places, especially the further away from the truck stop itself you got. They called it the back row. I-5, oh yeah, all the time in Oregon. Yep. Uh, and a guy's dome light came on in the truck across from me, and he gets out of his truck, climbs down, and out from underneath his trailer steps a guy, and he's got something in his hand, and clearly he's fixing to rob the truck driver. Well, a truck driver turns around, reaches into his jacket, and pulls out a gun and shoots the guy. And the guy falls right there on the ground. And of course, the guy was, robbing him, and there was a plague of truck drivers getting robbed at that truck stop. That's just why I didn't get out when I got there. I backed in, locked my doors, and went to bed. And believe me, parking there was like the last option on earth. But if you had an Atlanta delivery, your options were very, very limited. So yeah, I saw a guy who deserved it get shot. And then the guy looked at me and saw me sitting behind the wheel, and he put his fingers up to his lips, like, don't say nothing. And I shook my head. And the guy turned around, got back in his truck, and took off. And as soon as he was out of there, I left. I'll tell you another. You mentioned lot lizards. Hey, freaky geek. You haven't seen the video from me in a while. Good Lord, I put one out pretty much every day. Or you just haven't watched them. Okay. Knife making, that's pretty much what I do now. And fix stuff that I break, which lately seems like a lot. Okay. This is a lot lizard story. And if you don't know what lot lizards are, basically it's a little name that truck drivers gave the truck stop prostitutes. So, same thing, about 35 years ago, I am on the back row of a truck stop, which is where most of the illicit activity usually took place. And somebody knocks on my door, wakes me up. And, when I was a young man, I used to drive to exhaustion. By the time I pulled over and went to bed, that was it. I was going to bed, and there was no partying, there was no playing around. Uh, I drove well beyond my logbook. So, knock on the door, and it's this scraggly, nasty woman that wants to know if I need any services. And I said, "No, ma'am, please don't bother me again. I'm really tired." I went back to bed, and it's the same woman. See, this is what drugs does to you. She has no idea that she's knocking on the same door, the same truck, same guy coming to the door saying, "No, leave me alone. Stop waking me up." So it happened so many times. This desperate, crack-addled prostitute could not stop knocking on my door. Finally, I got in the seat. I got out of that truck stop, and I found a rest area, and I went to bed in the rest area. And I'm probably asleep for about 2 hours, and I hear a banging on my freaking door. And who do you think it is? It's that same dang crack whore. I could not believe it. I I shouldn't tell this, but I rolled my window down and I put a pistol in her face, and I told her if she knocked on my door again, I was going to shoot her in the head. And then I got to thinking, she probably got a pimp. She didn't get here by herself. So now she's going to go tell her pimp. So, still, as tired as I was, I had to get back in the seat and keep on going. Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff involved in trucking. I have a lot of good memories, but boy, oh boy. Hey, Gary, a lot of good memories. And of course, like good memories, you always got some people that pollute the universe just being a part of it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a fillet knife. I do. Or a boning knife. I'm not sure. But it's really getting sharp now. I've already told this one, but it still brings a chuckle to my mind. My wife was actually behind the wheel this time, and it was spring break in Florida. And, college girls are just running around scantily clad. And this carload of college girls passes our truck, and the girls all raise their shirts and flash my wife. And they were all happy and laughing about flashing a truck driver until I looked up and seen it was a little gray-haired old lady. And the look of shock on those girls' faces, it was just funny as hell. Yeah, they weren't embarrassed about showing their goodies to a truck driver until they realized it was a woman. Hey, LSU man, okay, you're the one in Bossier. That's right. I'm your Huckleberry is in Shreveport, and you're in Bossier. Ah, yes, Bossier City, the place I got stabbed. Now that's a story. That's a story I'll tell you some other time. Because it's a bit of a long story. But I'll tell you where it was in Bossier City. It was across the street from the Kickapoo Lounge. Kickapoo's not there anymore, hadn't been there in years. But if you're born and raised in Bossier, you know what the Strip was, and you know where Kickapoo was. And both places were places you didn't want to be. Okay, yeah, Bossier has some mean cops, all right. Okay, anti-libtard. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Okay, Tennessee Bubba, take care. Hey, Trevor. Maybe it's too cold up there. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they wear too many clothes. It would take too long for them to get to the actual goodies. Well, this was in 79 or 80 when I got stabbed. It was a long time ago. It was not something I'll forget. And here's how crooked the cops were. I'll go ahead and tell part of the story. The guy that stabbed me turned out to be a member of the police jury. I also had a boot knife, and when he stabbed me, I didn't know it was coming. He stabbed me and then backed off, and I reached down and pulled a boot knife out of my boot. And I was going to cut him into a bunch of pieces, man. And who conveniently shows up at exactly the right time? But the police. I think I mentioned the other day that when I was a young man, I did a lot of bad things. Okay, that's not the Brad of today. So if I do talk about things in the past, it's not because I'm proud of my behavior. It's because it's just part of who I am. And I've been a lot of places and done a lot of things. And about the time I turned 30, I just changed my ways. No, I wasn't at the tropics, but I've been kicked out of a few of them bars down on the strip, mostly for fighting. None of them are there anymore. As a matter of fact, the last place I can remember getting kicked out of was Southpaws for fighting. And I used to go to Southpaws just because you could get into a good fight there. Oh man, that's a good sharp blade now. Okay, one more. You lived at Southpaws, huh? Boy, has that been a while back, huh? Hey, Jordan Bell. Yep, same thing. Very, very tiny factory edge. There's just like nothing to that edge. Let me nothing to the edge. I wish my wife has a funny story. It also involves a time when neither one of us drink. Am I in my shop? No, I am in my house. I know it's a mess in here. My wife has a good story. I'll let her tell it, but I've asked her to because it's just such a funny story. But it involves a time in her life when she drank, and we both drank, and we both quit at the same time. Oh, the owl story. Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, I was pretty sure it was coming for me. The end was near. I have another story. The very first truck I bought, I was never so proud. That was the proudest moment in my life was buying my first truck. And looking back, it was really an ugly, old, beat up truck, but it was my first truck as an owner operator. And I was really proud to be an owner operator, and I was really proud to making the jump from a company driver to an owner operator was way harder back then than it is now. Now, I mean, they just about give you a truck if you got decent credit. But back then, you had to come up with a heck of a down payment, and you had to have a contract. You had to prove to the lenders that you were capable of paying for it, and so it was quite a feat to buy your own truck. And there was the mental part of it too. I mean, it took you from the rat race basically and put you in charge of your life as an owner operator. And I bought this truck. It was a Freightliner, nothing special, but to me it was. And God, I was proud of that truck. And I waxed it, even though the paint was faded. Well, my wife and I, we were in Odessa, Texas, loading at a company called, back then it was called Rexine. I think it's called Eastman or Huntsman. I think it's called Huntsman now. And it took hours and hours to get loaded because this particular product we hauled was melted plastic. So you had to pull up underneath the loading rack and you could go to bed and they'd load you and then wake you up when you were ready. And that's what happened. My truck was a pretty long truck. So I pulled up to the loading rack and here's a yellow pole. You have to pull in and then back in and then pull right up to the yellow pole in order to get your dome lid underneath the loading spigot. Here's your dome lid, and here's a loading spigot, and it only has a little bit of movement. So you got to get your dome lid right underneath that loading spigot, and then they lower it down into your tanker, and they load you. So you have very little of, backward and forward. And my truck was a lot longer, so I had to pull real close up to this yellow pole. So here's my truck right about here up against this yellow pole, right? And I go to bed, and they knock on my door, wake me up. Of course, I woke up after 2 hours, so I'm groggy, and there's a line of people behind me that all want to get loaded, and so now suddenly they want me to hurry. So I jump in the seat, I crank it up, pop my brakes, and crash, pull right into that stupid yellow pole. Destroyed the front of my. It wasn't even a brand new truck; it was an old truck that I bought. Destroyed the front of that truck, and it took every penny I had to buy that truck. I did not have any money to fix it. So we actually, I had one headlight because it tore my fender off, tore my headlight bucket out. So I had no choice but to deliver my load and work another week or two. I managed to go past my house, and I found some headlights, and I screwed a piece of plywood to the front of that truck and stuck some headlights in it. And I never got pulled over. As a matter of fact, I think I didn't get pulled over because the police would look at me and just feel sorry for me. And I drove around like that for about a month and a half before I had enough money to fix it. And little struggles like that made, we've had a very hard life, but it has been a fun life with lots of laughter and lots of, proud moments. And looking back, I can laugh at it now because I was so proud of that truck. And then it just so heartbroken when I ruined the front end and then had to drive around looking like a third world country truck. So until I could afford to get it fixed. Yeah, the good old days. Hard times, but good times. Delivering a load one day, and the place to park was on the road. This guy in a suit and a pretty girl beside him stopped. I thought he was going to tear a strip off me. Huh. Oh, the fake tough guys. Yeah, I've run into a bunch of them in my life. Yep. I don't know what it is about being a fake tough guy, but the fake tough guys usually get what they got coming to them. I don't know if you can see some of the scars on those knuckles. I still have teeth marks. Back in the day, man, I don't know why, but I used to like to fight. And I've got my butt whooped a lot too. But just sometimes just looking at your hands, you can just see the life you've led. And it's been an interesting life. Good times and bad times, but interesting the whole way. Now, this is the most boring, uneventful part of my life. And it's actually the most I've ever enjoyed life, even though I've got a ton of medical problems. I am quite content to stay behind my gate and just quietly make knives and not bother anybody. And just ask God to forgive me for some of the bad things I've done. I'll give you an example of fake tough guys. A while back, well, it's been a long while now, my wife and I were actually driving two separate trucks. We had two loads going to the same place, so we took two separate trucks. And on the way back from getting unloaded down in Baytown, Texas, we were driving back, and it was 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, wee hours, and we were talking on the CB. She was in her truck talking to me, and I was in my truck talking to her. And somebody gets on the radio and starts complaining that we're bleeding over on channel 19. And I said, well, neither of these radios are just little stock 4-watt radios. So, the first, and it was a guy that had passed us just a few minutes ago. So I said, you're going a lot faster than we're going. So in a minute or two, you'll be so far down the road, we won't be bleeding over on your channel. So then that wasn't good enough. So I told my wife to just go to another channel. We'll go as far away from channel 19 as we can. I think we went down to channel 2 and we went back to talking. And this guy, instead of continuing on and moving away from us like he was originally, he stays around and he finds me on channel 2 and he starts talking crap. And then it was a black dude and he's talking about if you're white, you're right. And then he starts threatening me, wants me to pull over so we can kick my ass. And I'm doing everything I can to make this guy just go away. Finally, everybody has that line that, when somebody crosses it, that's it. You're going to do something stupid no matter what the cost. Well, back then my line was a little too close. And he threatened me one too many times and invited me to the side of the road one too many times. So I pulled over. He gets out of his truck, kind of a big dude. And I'm thinking, oh boy, I'm going to have to really, really hit him hard. He walks up to me. I walk up to him. We'll meet about halfway. He reaches back like he's going to hit me. And I reached back and I hit him as hard as I possibly could. And I knocked him clean out with the very first punch. All that talk, what a tough guy he was. All that talk. And he went down with the very first punch. And the only reason I tell this story is because my wife was there. She can verify that's what happened. It was not long after that. My wife, she didn't want any part of that kind of life. And she told me, you keep doing that and you'll be driving by yourself. So that's sort of when I straightened my ways out. But fake tough guys have always made me chuckle. The big mouths. It's the ones that don't tell you they're going to hit you are the ones you got to watch out for. The ones that are always bragging about how tough they are and keep warning you that they're going to hit you. And those are the ones that ain't going to do nothing and are all talk. All right, we're almost ready to switch sides here. I think. I've been talking so much, I sort of lost track of. Tell you what, I'll read some comments. That guy was lonely. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. The mortar and cement of my history. That'd be a good song right there. I think that's why me and John J00 became friends, because we sort of had a similar background and we sort of changed our life about the same time for the same reasons. And we had a lot in common background wise and change wise and faith wise. Boy, that's getting there. All right, I think I'm going to one more on this side and then flip her over. Yep. But I better clean this off a little bit. I don't want to make a mess on my desk. Hey, Redneck Prepper. Tony up in Arkansas. How you doing, brother? Okay, not far from being done here. The person that won today's giveaway. Hey, Duff Sweets, down in Houston. Oh, Kenworth, 100% Kenworth. Not even Peterbilt. Kenworth. Kenworth or walk. Yeah, I think you're right, Darla. Be rad. Be rad from the boot. Yeah, that was another level, I think, in owner operating. You know, you make the jump from company driver, which there's nothing wrong with being a company driver. You have security, you have insurance. It's easier to get your taxes taken care of. Oh, well, good for you. Wish I was there to help. And then you make the jump from Freightliner owner operator to Kenworth. When you step into a Kenworth, you have arrived. You know you've made it when you bought a Kenworth. That's just my opinion. And there might have been people stuck in Kenworths that were so glad to get into a Freightliner. But to me, Kenworth was the pinnacle, the top of the line, the epitome, the best you could do as far as buying trucks. And when I bought trucks, I bought them spec'd to the max. Every bell, every whistle, just because I could. And, you know, I could live in a camper and be happy, but I liked having a fancy truck with all the bells and whistles and all the chrome, because that was my life. That's what I did. That's all I did every day. Drive. If I wasn't driving it, I was working on it or polishing it. All those years. And then I went and destroyed it all by buying a Volvo. And the thing is, the Volvo, it was a butt ugly truck, but it drove like a car. I mean, a very expensive car. When you close that door, you could hear a pin drop on the inside. Okay, Major Payne, gotta go. Stay healthy. You too. Take care, man. And but that engine and the electrical components, it was like night and day. It was a fantastic truck if it didn't have Volvo electronics and a Volvo engine. I called it the Antichrist. That truck caused us so much stress. Hey, Ricky, what's up? I'm almost done anyway. I've been sharpening knives here. It caused us so much stress and cost us so much money that it affected my wife so much that she had to get off the truck. And yeah, it ruined us, that one truck. And then I got a job driving a truck in the oil field. She just couldn't drive anymore because of her health. And you know how it is so strange how God works. I did not have good insurance. I had basic hospitalization, and that was it on my own. But when I went to work in the oil field, I got good insurance, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, good insurance. And then after I got that good insurance, we found out that my wife had cancer. So I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that my Lord knew what was going to happen and set us up so that my wife could be taken care of, and I would be able to provide an income for both of us while she stayed home and tried to live through it. And that is the difference between 2020 Brad and 1990 Brad. I have Jesus now, and I didn't have Jesus before. And I don't care who knows it. I don't make a big deal about being a Christian on my channel, but I'm not going to shy away from telling folks I'm a Christian. All the time. All right, I think I'm moving to the fine block now. Whenever I sharpen knives like this, I always worry that the person I'm sharpening them for doesn't realize how sharp they are, and they'll end up cutting their hand off or something, because this is sharp. Yeah, for sure. A dull knife for sure is. For some reason, this burr is harder to get rid of than the last bunch of knives. So, yeah, so far I have not broke anything or burned anything up or tripped over anything. So, but the day is still young. What is it? It's 10:30. Yeah, the day is still young. Well, that's an hour and 41 minutes of me sharpening knives, and they're all done. This is the last one. Just a minute. Why is there just something oddly satisfying about doing that? I don't know why. It's just paper. Okay, y'all, I'm done. So, is there anything you want to talk about? It's been an hour and 42 minutes. You've been here a long time. Wash your hands. You going back to work? Okay. Well, I think I'm gonna hang it up. Uh, I really appreciate you being here. I enjoyed it. No fingers were harmed. Yeah, really. Yeah. In light of the last few days I've had, maybe sharpening knives wasn't a good idea. But thanks for being here, everybody. I enjoy having you, and you're part of my digital family. And thanks for being part of it. Take care, y'all. I'm gonna have a cup of coffee and go visit with my wife for a little bit. See ya.